Welcome to Ventures from the Valley, a podcast by R136 Ventures. This is the show where we highlight the biggest topics in business and investment with some of the biggest experts in the space to help you learn how to grow your portfolio in venture capital. I'm Victor Orlovski. Hello, Alex. So I'm privileged to have you today in our podcast, Ventures from the Valley. And I would start with asking you to give our listeners your story. So what you started with, how did you get to where you are now? And then we will discuss a bunch of things related to Gen AI and everything related to that, because you are one of the best experts, one of the top experts, young generation of Gen AI professionals, and at the cutting edge of this industry and this segment. So please.
Hi, Victor. Thank you for having me. So it was definitely quite a long journey for me in generative AI space. I work on video generative AI for over than 7 years. In my previous company, Factory, we built a technology for text to video and video to video face generation. And essentially, we sold this company to Snapchat. Then at Snapchat, I was leading generative AI. Probably the products which we launched were like the most adopted, the most used generative AI products worldwide. And then I left Snapchat in October 2023 to start Higgsfield.
Okay, awesome. And you are continuing this journey with Higgsfield, right?
Exactly.
Nowadays.
So far, I think video generative AI didn't provide a lot of economic unlock. And now we can see that AI can generate content which typically would cost tens of thousands of dollars to produce. That's why I'm so excited to work on Higgsfield, as here we will run the next revolution, basically.
Awesome. So we will speak more about Higgsfield for sure. So let's go back in history. So 2018, you started as a founder of AI Factory, co-founder and CEO. So what brought you to this AI field back in 2018? Why you considered like doing AI? Was it kind of a prediction you had, or was it kind of a hobby? So why AI at all? I mean, why you decided doing what you started doing back in 2018?
This is a great question. So in school and college, I participated a lot in sports programming. We probably was top 10 in Russia, maybe top 30 in the world. And the work like these sports programming competitions, they require to write very, very optimal code, which is extremely relevant for computer vision applications. I also did work for 1 year at Yandex, where we were like 2013, 2014. We were running neural networks for translation. It was actually 2-3 years earlier than Google pioneered that. It was really funny. Nobody believed in neural networks back then, so we had to make sure that the training which we do, the managers cannot basically spot it, basically, because it felt so outrageous and so romantic and so unpractical in 2014. And now it is clear that, even 2016, 2017, neural networks completely changed the way how translation is done. In 2015, I started my first company. It was unsuccessful, so I paired with Victor Orlovski in 2018 to start a factory. And Victor has lots of experience in fundraising. Victor has a lot of experience in building business relationships, which tremendously helped us to sell a factory to Snapchat.
What did you do? I mean, what was AI Factory all about? And what was your big thing you were inspired by?
Sure, this is a really good question. Since 2015, I work on mobile app space. In 2017, 2018, Core ML framework was released. And essentially, we saw that mobile phone has GPU of the same power as mid-level consumer GPU. this was really fascinating. And it was clear, and nobody pretty much like utilized that. And basically my intuition was that now it is possible to generate not just images on mobile device, but whole videos. And we went after human generation, like faces generation, because it's maybe the simplest domain, and because it probably has the highest engagement. So it's sort of like low-hanging fruit in a sense. I think Snap really loved the technology, and this technology was used to run AR filters on Snapchat. Like I think out of like maybe top 50 most popular AR filters on Snapchat, the majority of them are AI powered, and they run on device using the framework which we developed back in AI Factory.
So basically, iFactory was a kind of masquerade, but for videos, right? So it just was like filtering technology, which you can apply and make all sort of like fun things with the video, right?
Yeah, I would say that Luxury and MSQRD, they use more standard computer vision techniques, and we use machine learning end-to-end stylization, which is different. So we were running neural networks, like, let me try to explain. So for MSQRD and Luxury, they run neural networks in real time to detect key points on the face. And that's pretty much it. In AI Factory, we brought this to the next level. We didn't detect just key point, but we did whole image stylization in real time, end to end with neural network.
Okay. So that was like much more fancy. Really?
Yeah, exactly. Because when you detect key points, you basically are predicting 200 numbers. You are basically predicting the coordinates of each of the key point on the face. While when you're doing the stylization, the actual output is the video stream as well. And it's more computationally intense, but the quality of the output is higher as well.
Okay. And did you start making any revenue with AI Factory? Or was it more consumer, like free to go product?
Yeah, I think with AI Factory, it was a technology play, and back then we positioned the same technology in a little bit different way. We positioned this to be more like an SDK to produce personalized GIFs. Back then, GIFs were extremely popular. Facebook was going to acquire Giphy. I think Tenor Keyboards was acquired by Google. So back then, personalized GIF space looked extremely promising.
Okay, so but what about the revenue? Did you reach to some kind of level?
And I mean, we probably had like committed revenue with the SDK, but I wouldn't say that we've had huge commercial success. But it was mostly a technology play.
Was it easy back then to raise capital for this kind of product?
Yeah, I think it was. I think Victor mostly funded these stories, so. We didn't have like traditional venture capital.
Okay, so you made a nice exit for yourself, right? It was 170 million?
I definitely cannot complain.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so you can do this kind of things without venture money, right? I don't think that it is possible to do any Gen AI business nowadays without substantial investment from VCs, right?
It is a very interesting point. I think it is. I have a little bit like contrarian maybe point of view, and I don't want to offend anyone, but I think the reality is that like there are different sort of layers at the generative AI. So there is base model layer, there is fine tuning, let's say, and then there is a product layer. In terms of base model developments, the most successful companies are OpenAI, Anthropic, and Midjourney probably. I think none of these companies is truly venture backed. So Midjourney didn't take any external investment because they were able to fund this. Look at Anthropic investors. It's like a lot of guys from crypto and I guess like SBF invested in Anthropic as well, especially early rounds. OpenAI, Vinod, and Hostile Ventures, they invested early, but the success of OpenAI is probably caused by the partnership with Microsoft. So on the base model layer, I think large players like Google and OpenAI and maybe sovereign funds, they can fund this type of story. And probably base model layer is not necessarily it's probably not the place where VCs were historically the most successful.
Really interesting. So you don't think that there will be kind of new bets on foundational models, right? So you think that this, whatever exists today, like OpenAI, Anthropic, Mistral, will keep going, right? So, and competing probably with big techs, right? Like Google, Facebook, Microsoft, in a certain way. Or you think that there might be some newcomers to this?
It is a really good question. I think there is more geopolitics to the base model layer than we think. I think part of the reason why Mistral is able to raise a $5 billion valuation is partially because it's European-based company, and probably the European AI Act will change the way how AI is applied in the European Union, and probably there may be some advantages for local companies. I think it's hard to predict how the world may emerge, but I think there always will be a lot of upside from investing in like local version of OpenAI or Anthropic or Mistral, right? Especially if government wants to create some boundaries and wants to protect the local ecosystem from OpenAI and Anthropic, then it creates great opportunities for VCs to try to grow some company locally. So it's hard to say. It's hard to say. I know there are a few undisclosed investments at $1 billion valuation, pre-product, pre-revenue, like pre-seed, basically investment at $1 billion valuation unannounced on the model layer. But I don't know why VCs are doing that. I think historically we didn't see these being like very successful.
Interesting. But coming back to the question, who do you think will win in building up these foundational models? Big techs, leaders in AI, Gen AI space like Anthropic, Mistral, OpenAI, or you think there will be new wave of companies who will leapfrog and will win this market? What's your prediction going forward?
I think we were observing that compute and energy are key drivers of like models improvement so far. If this continues this way, then we will see kind of GPU rich and GPU poor. Sorry for my language, but I'm not sure. Like the way it's like, it's probably no secret now that DeepMind needs so many GPUs. It doesn't fit one the data center. Most of startups, they just need hundreds or thousands of GPUs, and DeepMind need that many GPUs that they don't fit one data center. So I think it's the scale. They've created the scale. Like there were news that Microsoft is building new data center which costs like $10 billion, I guess. Yeah, so you see that I don't even like understand how it's possible to spend that much money, right? And I don't even understand like 10 billion or 100 billion. For me, it looks like the amount of money which is impossible to spend actually, right? But I mean, within these organizations, they have very clear like application, what type of the model they're gonna train there. So I think the gap is getting larger and larger.
Eventually, we discussed it the other day when you were still in Snap. So I would like to switch back to your Snap journey. How was it working in a startup and then joining relatively large, publicly traded, although it's like all new and still like digital company, but still like large company where you became an executive? How did you like it? How was it, this transition happened for you? Any challenges, your personal challenges with this?
Look, Snap treated us extremely well. I think out of many founders whom I know, I probably had the best treatment possible. Like nobody, like there wasn't, sometimes there is like adversary effects. It's like people think that the acquisition was bad, or they tried to split their areas of responsibility and ownership. And we had none issues. It was really smooth journey. Obviously, there were some processes which we thought were slowing down maybe the technology and product progress, but that's very natural for any public company. So I cannot say that there was something at Snap which was very unusual compared to other public companies.
So your transition was easy, right? So you were well respected, no like additional bureaucracy level. Everything was smooth.
Definitely there was bureaucracy, but nothing unexpected. So it's definitely considerably slower than in startup. But they gave us a lot of freedom, like the maximum level of freedom they could give us for the first 3 years from 2020 to 2022. And overall, on the personal level, the relationships were amazing.
And you were in charge of what in particular at Snap? It was your role? What was your role at Snap?
I was head of Generative AI, reporting to Bobby Murphy, the CTO and co-founder of Snapchat.
So what was that? I mean, what exactly was your kind of value add? So you were developing a new piece of technology or a product, because you were a product manager, right, at Snap. So you were more in charge of
engineering, I think, more like director of engineering. But we really started like from building like horizontal team, like full stack team. So product managers, data scientists, everybody kind of reported to me. It was very convenient. This is the way how we operated first 3 years, and I am deeply appreciate Snap for doing that. Because again, once we had a plan, the execution was smooth. Again, because all the functions were reporting to me, like content production, engineering, ML engineering, product, data science. When all the functions are reporting to me, then it's kind of easy to streamline the execution. So the actual role, was to take the best AI technology available, fine tune and adjust it for Snap use cases, and launch it for hundreds of millions of users. I think that was my role at Snapchat.
Okay. And you and I discussed it, as I said before the other day, an importance of GPUs, right? You were claiming that one of your competitors, I don't want to name it now, was kind of ahead of Snap 10x with the GPU footprint. And you thought that you could never catch up just because of the limited number of GPUs you had. So how important it is for a Gen AI professional and team like yours to have unlimited access to GPUs? Do you think that that's a key driver, that nothing else might differentiate companies more than just having more and more and more GPUs these days?
This is a really good question. Look, first of all, we are operating at the scale of hundreds of GPUs. We can utilize them extremely well. And I can tell you that every time the team scales the number of GPUs 3x, they face new and new challenges. This is the true for each team, including DeepMind and OpenAI team. So there are a lot of infrastructure challenges to make it to work really well.
What are they? Can you just explain it a little bit more?
Yeah, it's like in the old days, everybody was trying to be high scale system for big data processing, right? In old days. And there were frameworks like Spark, MapReduce for efficient processing of the data. But the good thing about that is there were open source solutions like Spark, Hadoop, and so on. Now things are getting much more complicated because the computations. Okay, so the computational graph have to be parallelized across many GPUs. Then these computations have to be merged, and merging is extremely complicated. But also data has to be parallelized as well across many machines. It's getting really challenging. And there are no good open source frameworks for that. So each team, which has over 10,000 GPUs, is developing their own orchestration layers, right? The information made it public that Meta has 150K H100s. This is in the information. I think they now have more, but I'm just checking the information from December last year. It says that Meta has 150K GPUs. And ByteDance, I believe, has close to 20 or 30K GPUs, right? So at this scale, each company develops proprietary framework to orchestrate GPUs, to do parallelization really efficiently. And one of the very interesting surprises for us, even at our scale, it's again, it's hundreds of GPUs. We're not talking about thousands, it's hundreds of GPUs. Network becomes one of the main limitations. It was really surprising for us. We're not doing anything completely extraordinary. But we observed that, and it was surprising to us that Google has its own type of Ethernet connection. It's they have proprietary hardware which connects machines, with each other.
Just because you need to increase the speed of interaction, right?
Yes, between machines, because the data has to be split across many machines. And there are obviously there are many ways how to optimize it. Maybe there are more efficient ways to parallelize, but maybe there are ways to simply improve the hardware. And I think at these large companies, they are working on these problems over the last 3 years, and they don't publish the results. So you can basically maybe you saw that after ChatGPT was released, Google, Anthropic, and OpenAI and Meta, they kind of stopped publishing the details of how they actually built those models. Meta, is doing more than others because they open source the models, but I think they open source the weights and the code, but it may be hard to reproduce their results from scratch.
Okay, so there are a lot of challenges, right, to operate these massive numbers of GPUs. Are there any startups who are working in this area of building up orchestration layers for this data parallel processing and orchestrating both inference and this learning curve of Gen AI algorithms? Are there any kind of startups obviously, if this is a big thing, right, somebody's going to tackle it. Any names you may drop here who are dealing with this kind of challenges today?
In terms of the large scale training?
Yeah. Yep. And orchestration, just this infrastructure layer which you described, which is hard to build, and everybody's doing its own, right? Every big tech, every AI.
I don't think there is any startup doing this.
Might be an interesting idea for startups. Probably.
It's a nice idea, but how will this company validate that they're doing something really great? They will have to train their own model. And I think there is not. I think eventually what's gonna happen is we'll get the same way how cloud providers market emerges. There are 4 major cloud providers, 10 smaller cloud providers, and maybe total 50 cloud providers in the world. Close to that, maybe. I think the same is going to happen on the model layer as well. So there will be obviously a lot of tooling companies and infrastructure companies, maybe Pinecone is a good example, which are going to be integrated in most of these cloud providers. And I think this is a great business for VCs, because VCs can help those companies tremendously to get early adoption, do early introductions, and kind of grow those tooling companies the same way as VCs helped to create the wave of database companies earlier, right?
Great. So maybe getting back to your maybe last couple of questions about Snap and your role at Snap. We were talking about this interesting thing about this easy or fast dopamine, right? To release this dopamine fast in your custom base. So does Gen AI really help a lot, and all this Gen AI LLM algorithms are helping a lot to release dopamine faster and easier from your customer base?
Exactly. Definitely generative AI companies produced a lot of demos, maybe not that much economic value, but definitely a lot of demos. And yes, it's relatively easy to achieve wow effects with generative AI.
Okay, that's awesome. Okay, so you decided to drop and start another journey with Higgsfield. So first, how did this idea come? What was this idea all about? And it looks like you are repeating your AI factory story a little bit. And at least you're doing something with video, right? So maybe you can just tell more about this Higgsfield journey, right? What was that?
Yeah. This is a really good question. Thank you for asking. Going back to Snapchat, we had great traction. Maybe it was one of the best teams in the world in the consumer AI space. But when we did over hundreds of media campaigns, because brands, they wanted to be part of something cool related to AI and AR and so on. But the problem was that it kind of didn't scale for some reason. And there were news that Snap shut down AR business department and so on. And part of the reason is that marketers are looking for simplification. And at Snap, it seems like AI didn't drive automation and efficiency at the level which was convincing to marketers to use the tooling. But I was always thinking how actually we can move forwards. A lot of work at Snapchat was actually done to make dynamic product ads. It's the same product for Facebook as well. It basically automates a lot of steps for marketers to create advertising campaign on those social media platforms. The ultimate goal is to enable marketers just to drop their assets, and then the AI system figure out how to show these assets and to whom show these assets to drive the highest ROI.
So basically, you can build a video, like few seconds, 5 seconds video, right, with the help of AI prompting, right? And I understood you can show like dozens or even hundreds of different videos, right, to different target customer base. So with A/B testing, you can probably do better and better, and then basically every commercial people will see on their screens will be uniquely customized for a particular customer, right? So we will see, like each of us will see our own commercial video, short video, and some will see men or women, some will see kids, some will see like moving, like bright or gray or something. So it will be all different, and then it all gonna be generated by Higgsfield, right? Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully, yes. I mean, it's likely going to like what you're describing, like the world maybe in like 5-7 years, and at this level, likely Facebook and Google will be. I mean, since they own the distribution, they likely to create all this tooling as well. I think in the same time, at Higgsfield, we go after a much simpler problem right now, right? I mean, we have feasible and realistic milestones in front of us and opportunities. One of them is just simply cut down the cost of social media video production.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a 30-second video can cost tens of thousands of dollars. And very often those videos don't have high engagement and cost, and production time is measured in weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So with AI, I believe by the end of this year, it will be possible to produce more engaging videos at 1/10 cost and 10 times faster. So that will provide immediate unlock. And this will help with experimentation tremendously. But over the time, this will lead to hyper-personalization, which you described really well.
And is it possible already to, like, for a business to try using your product real life?
Yeah, I mean, we have a closed beta. We don't have sufficient amount of GPUs to serve basically everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a closed beta for our partners to try the recent model. And the recent model unlocks controllable video generation with human text to video. So I think this was never possible before.
Okay, that's interesting. So you are founder and CEO of the company, right? So do you have any co-founders joining you?
Yes. My co-founder, Yerza, is Chief Research Officer, and he spent last 7 years researching and training world models. So world model is essentially a model which has deep understanding of the world. In our case, we need to, our model, like basically the world model, it's in short, is a model which consists of transformer and diffusion model, and transformer model is prompting diffusion model, and diffusion model is acting as a renderer. But the transformer model is trained in the space of visual tokens. Those visual tokens, they describe the worlds, they describe the characters, they describe the objects, they describe interactions between characters and objects. And also this world model should be aware of overall environments like camera and lighting setup. So this was like when we were raising seed at December last year, many people thought that we are crazy going after world models because everybody was working on just diffusion models. And I know that like very well-known VCs, with those VCs with over 10 billion under management, they were extremely skeptical about like this approach. And nowadays, nobody challenges that because Sora, OpenAI Sora is a world model, as well.
Can you for our audience just describe what's difference with, you describe this world models, right? Tokens. What is diffusion models? What is it?
Yeah, I mean, diffusion models is diffusion models are state of the art model for image generation. And the way how videos were generated before world models is generate 16 images with whatever image model you have, and then interpolate across them, and it will have some level of animation, but pretty limited level of animation. And this was the true in 2017, 18, 19, 2020, 2021, 2022. And then in 2023, everybody realized that transformer is a superpower. And there were several research projects about combining transformers and diffusion models, so that actually the output is the video. Transformer models are well known for its context length. So this context length allows to achieve temporal coherence and produce videos with animation, essentially.
Okay. So talking about Higgsfield, how easy was it to raise money? Did you have a lot of interest?
It's hard to say. It's hard to say. I would say we've had several.
How long did it take for you to between you started raising and you got cash?
So I think it took us close to 3 weeks to sign term sheet, and then 4 weeks to get the wire.
So 2 months, less than 2 months.
Yeah, but we had Thanksgiving holidays before the term sheet, and then when we were going through due diligence, we had an issue. We had Christmas, so holidays affected this. We had several VCs who were interested. I wouldn't say it was very easy for me, to be honest. I had over 140 meetings with VCs total, and my list had over 80 VCs whom I spoke to. So I wouldn't say it was very easy.
And luckily, but also with huge respect, you got money from Menlo Ventures, right? That was your lead investor.
Yeah, Menlo is one of most well-known funds in the Valley. Definitely, it was definitely they're great partners, and they are very famous with their AI investments. I think Pinecone is their investments, Lindsay is another their investment, and obviously Anthropic.
Sure. So how difficult was due diligence? Have you been challenged with your technology? Did you have a deep dive of true experts in AI onto what you guys are going to do in technology? Or was it more numeric and business driven? So what venture funds are looking at when they're dealing with early stage startups? Obviously, you are a brand name in this industry and well known. So, but a good advice to other startups, what they should expect from top-notch VCs, what they're gonna look at.
I think there are very typical questions which are applied both in generative AI and non-generative AI world. I think one of the questions is specifically around the size of the markets. Second question is, what unique insights does founder have to approach these markets?
Okay.
And then I think there are a lot of detailed questions depending on the type of the partner. Maybe it can be the way, how they approach go-to markets, or another thing can be what is the technical insight which will allow to differentiate from other companies in the space.
And what was your technical insight? How do you differentiate?
Yeah, I think we were working on video generative AI for a long time, and there are a lot of learnings of what works well and what doesn't work well.
Do you use any third-party foundational models, right? I mean, open source or closed loop? Do you use OpenAI or anything?
Yes, I mean, we definitely experiment and we definitely keep track of all the models. are like OpenAI and Anthropic and Google model. I think Google Gemini is the best model for video understanding.
Mm-hmm. And
What, but
you're
it's
based on Gemini, right? I mean, your like foundational layer.
I wouldn't say so. Like it's definitely one of the best video understanding model. But when it comes to the actual inference, like running the model for our customers, we don't use any model.
Okay, so it's your proprietary one, right? So you
Yes,
just do it
exactly.
proprietary. How big is the team now?
The team is now 18 people.
18. Okay, and to your point that Gen AI is very GPU demanding. Is it a problem for you that you have to grow in numbers of GPUs now in your business to really build up a better and better product?
Yeah, we would definitely love to have more GPUs to train the model faster. In the same time, video generation is a very different market compared to LLMs. In LLM, there are clear benefits of longer context time, specifically for code generation. In a video space, it's slightly different. I think in the video space, each engaging video consists of several chunks, several scenes, each maybe up to 15 seconds. So it is a kind of different setup. There is no need to generate hour-long video, like just consistent 1 hour-long video. I think there is a lot of value of generating each scene with great level of control and consistency across the scenes.
So not that much of GPU power needed, right? Coming back to GPUs.
It's hard to say. I mean, I think there are rumors that Sora model wasn't cheap at all. But I think there is no detailed information about that. But it's likely to be in hundreds of millions.
So probably I would anticipate you need how much money? I better ask without like guessing. How much money do you think you would need going forward to make a state-of-the-art product, like be a leader, ultimately a leader in this space? You think?
This is a good question. So there are multiple. I don't believe that we are we are not competing. I'm not sure we are like face-to-face competing with Sora. This is definitely a good reference point for us. But I think the goal is to deliver value for our target audience. We started with consumers, then prosumers, and ultimately marketers.
Mm-hmm.
So marketers need more than just a base model. They need a lot of tooling. Marketers probably will not do like extensive post production. And I think there were articles showing that some Sora videos had substantial amount of post production human involvement.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very likely that Sora may go after very different markets.
Mm-hmm. And well, you just mentioned briefly your go-to-market strategy, but can you explore it a little bit further? So you are targeting what kind of mass production? I mean, should it be like independent designers? You're targeting companies who are your end users and customers?
I think this will change over the time as model improves. It's going to unlock more and more professional use cases. I think this is the true for many technology ways,
Sure.
to be honest.
Sure.
So I think ultimate customers are going to be marketing teams which want to produce on brand video content.
Mm-hmm. Okay, interesting. Just one question I couldn't forget asking. What's the why did you decide to name it Higgsfield? What does it have to do with Higgsfield? I like it. I like it really, but I mean, interesting idea. So why did it come?
I think there is a long story behind that. So regarding Higgsfield, okay, so I'm not like very good in physics, but let me try to share my understanding. So like, I think humanity spends enormous amount there was a lot of research there was a lot of theory and hypothesis that Higgsfield actually exists, and many believe that this will help to understand how the world works. And eventually it was discovered in 2012, I think, or 2013, 2012, yeah, close to that. Yeah. So I think we have here with world models, we have very similar situations. Like we kind of have a lot of hypotheses that transformers can reason. There are many cases when transformers they overcome humans. Although it still feels that some piece is missing, right? To achieve like artificial general intelligence. And I think by simulating the world and like training machines to create new worlds, we are trying to understand what piece is missing now in AI developments to be able to kind of to be able to simulate the worlds and make machines to reason. Because like training a video model is essentially the task of predicting the future. It's the same way that like transformers are trained to predict the next token. So, but something is clearly missing as we are seeing that video models are not as good as LLMs right now. It's probably like GPT-3 moment for video models right now. Something is missing. And at Higgsfield, we're trying to find what is missing.
That's awesome comparison and awesome view. Yeah, I like it really. So getting back to GenAI foundational layers, there are a bunch of open source foundational models. Something what was produced by big tech like Facebook is becoming slowly but steadily open sourced. There are also closed loop models like OpenAI. So what do you think will evolutionary win? And do you think there is a room for both closed loop and open source? Do you think that open source will, at the end of the day, win? Maybe not, right? What's your view on development of this going forward?
Look, I think Mark Zuckerberg did an amazing job of like explaining how he thinks about open source. Some companies, they need to launch models at huge scale like Meta. And I think those companies need to make sure that the inference of running the model is going to be cheap. That's why they open source the models to make sure that the community figures out, including hardware, including software layers, how to make these models run efficiently, because Meta owns the distribution as well, right? So I think there is definitely a lot of value from open source models in terms of like optimizing the inference, like making inference cheap, but also running them in company's cloud, basically within company's cloud.
You think that there will be both, right? Open source and closed loop. So they will coexist like in every other business.
Yes, I think so.
Okay. So maybe we can just touch base a little bit this other topic. There are all tons like of different systems of record being now created, like vector databases and this graph databases. Do you utilize any of this technology? Do you think that there will be something big coming out of that? Or you use like more traditional foundation layers for this data gathering, data collection, and processing?
It's a really good question. Unfortunately, I don't have a firm stance on that. It is clear that models have to be better integrated into the workflows, and they have to be better integrated with the existing data. I think this is a huge area of improvements to actually being able to plug in different sources of data to the model. That's why for Higgsfield, it is important for us to be able to produce on-brand content by learning like the style and by making sure that the videos are connected with brand guidelines and brand safety guidelines and so on. And I think overall, that's going to be a huge area of improvement for LLMs going forward. I think it's extremely early to as for me, it's extremely early to predict how the tech stack of like data connectors and databases will look like.
But you think that there is a room there, right?
To grow. I think it is still unresolved question. For example, for OpenAI, I believe many people were surprised when they showed like RAG pipeline at their OpenAI Dev Day last year, I think. So many people thought that they use something else and that they use third party, and then showing that they use third party vector database was really surprising.
Okay, that's interesting too. So let's go to predictions now. So what would you expect from ChatGPT version 5? When do you think it's going to come live? There are all sorts of rumors that it's going to be this year. Some people think it might slip towards 2025. What would you expect? What kind of new use cases it's going to bring, or new amazing things? Or it's going to be like a marginal improvement? Would it be kind of leapfrog from GPT-3 to GPT-4, same for GPT-5? So your predictions for this, where it goes?
This is a really good question. So I think what is going to happen is, I think OpenAI and Google were both quite open that they are working on agents, I think. So definitely they would seek for ways how to achieve automation and end-to-end task completion rather than copilots modes, which was unlocked with GPT 3.5. I think I'm mostly curious about the new industries it will disrupt. Cause GPT-5 is likely to be it's likely to be slower. It's likely to be more expensive. Yes, more expensive.
More expensive. Okay. And it will be more engineering, right? So it will like be able to solve complex engineering tasks, right? So more than just bringing you like more news or reshape your email or something. So it will probably be kind of end-to-end tool for complex engineering workloads. Could that be a kind of direction taken?
It's hard for me to say. Because it's sort of like OpenAI tried to there are reports that OpenAI goes basically after all possible direction. They go after legal with Harvey. They go after video generation with Sora. Either directly or indirectly, I think they're going after many opportunities. There are reports that Sam is working on some new hardware products as well, and so on. That's why I say I'm just mostly curious about if GPT-5 will have any specific application or not. Because it's likely to be slower and more expensive. It's just so I'm really curious where it all will evolve.
Interesting. Do you think it will bring software development to the end? Eliminate at least junior software developers from the stage? Because you were talking about end-to-end. Could that happen, that GPT-5 will basically serve as a junior or even mid-level software engineer, kind of fully autonomously?
Yeah, I think this is a huge topic right now with the Devin AI, like the first by Cognition Labs. Definitely the startup launched very successfully on Twitter, like the demo of their products. Since then, there were lots of skepticism around like the demos being fake or not fully correct. And there were reports that there are systems actually better than Devin, but maybe less hyped. So it's hard for me to say. I can definitely say that it seems like in those benchmarks, agents produce better results than base models. So that's why I'm just curious if GPT-5 will, if GPT-5 will unlock completely different possibilities and will score much higher than all other models in this benchmark, or they just keep building the general model. I don't know if the GPT-5 will be the model which goes after the agent's use case or not.
Okay. Well, we will see soon, hopefully. Talking about robotics. So Gen AI brings a lot into robotics space, and we see how robots evolve, this humanoids that can learn things from watching how people do things, and then basically learn fast enough to become human-like in so many different ways. Do you think we will see in next 5-7 years robots like that in our maybe not day-to-day life, but occasionally robots, servants, robots which will serve in receptions, something like that, that you will speak to a robot assistant who will help you address your needs in a hotel, a lobby, something like that?
This is a really good question. So
robot barista who will make you coffee in the mornings.
Exactly. These are really great questions. So some of the, I would identify 3 categories. It's kind of voice AI. It's like robots for repetitive tasks and robots which require AI capabilities. Voice AI is I don't understand this space. It's like there were billions of dollars invested in Alexa, Google Assistant, and Siri. Although all these systems look considerably worse compared to GPT-4. I can tell that sometimes I use ChatGPT app on the mobile just to talk to it, and I think it's considerably better than Siri or any other AI or any other like voice assistants produced by large companies, right? So that's a little bit surprising that there is not much evolution in that space. But I mean, this has to change. I think the hardware, the habits are already there, right? So it's just purely a matter of technology. It should like software technology. It should happen pretty quickly. I think I'm more skeptical about this hardware. Let me try to explain that. I think there are applications like robots for preparing coffee or for preparing a pizza where you don't need to have like really AI, where I believe it's like mechanical hand can just do very specific series of actions to achieve certain results.
So you think that mechanically it will be more difficult than
exactly
intelligently, right?
Exactly. I think so. It just feels like hardware was always pretty substantial bottleneck. Software moves much faster, and I think with hardware, the waves and the waves take longer time. Technology waves take longer time. So I would say that the first shock for the humanity will be connected to the agents. Yeah, exactly. And because I think it's still an open question if junior developers will be removed or not. And I just don't have a good answer, to be honest. But I think there will be definitely changes in the labor market, but it's hard to say if junior developers will be removed or not, because some junior developers, they are junior because they cannot read very large code base, because code base in large company can be quite clunky. So maybe actually junior developers will benefit from a system which is able to explain to them the large code blocks. It's extremely hard because a lot of time in large companies is actually spent to understand what are the right classes, what are the right files, where the change has to happen basically. What is the right level? What is the right place to implement the change? Maybe AI will be very good at that. I don't know, to be honest.
I just read recently, I think it was day before yesterday, Tata Systems report on call center industry, and they think that call center will be the first one which will be disrupted globally by Gen AI, next generation of Gen AI products. So that a lot of, especially it will influence Asia a lot, because India and Philippines and many other countries are deploying a lot of resource into global call center industry, and that it comes to the end, and it will come to the end pretty quickly. By 2030, almost 90% of these jobs will be taken over by Gen AI robots who will answer calls and do all this work in call centers. Do you think that this prediction is right? That it definitely can just move that fast? You think?
Yeah, this is a really great point. On the call center, there are different types of call centers, though, inbound and outbound, right? So outbound is probably less. Call center is not the best name, but there is definitely a lot of outbound telephone marketing and so on, right? And I think outbound use cases can be covered by AI legally in the United States, if I'm not mistaken. But inbound call center market is likely to be substantially transformed with AI. But it's hard but like Intercom was probably one of the best companies with transformer customer support with generative AI. So it is hard to predict who is going to be the winner and who is going to be the loser.
Coming to legislation, Alex, you mentioned a couple of obstacles and a couple of reasons. For example, Mistral developing in Europe as a local champion for Gen AI products. And there will be more and more regulatory challenges coming. Do you think that AI has to be regulated? And do you think that Gen AI, which can soon or at some point evolve to a superhuman, can be regulated by humans? For me, it looks a little bit like a lower level intelligence will regulate a high level intelligence. Shouldn't be an opposite thing. Shouldn't be a thing then superhuman regulates how human behave and do, rather than just an opposite. We wouldn't like monkeys to regulate us, right?
And I have here a question for you, to be honest. Look, I mean, on the one side, there are a lot of lawsuits like New York Times suing OpenAI and so on. But I think the reality is, I think there are lots of reports. There are lots of reports that OpenAI was trained, for example, on YouTube data, right? And CEO of YouTube said that if this happened, this is illegal. This is against terms of service. But it's likely to be true. It's based on the reports. It's likely to be true. So one of the questions is, and it's hard. And I think like historically, there were no cases where technology with such level of adoption were rolled back. Do you think it's let's say like New York Times wins and whatever like model developers are doing is illegal? Do you think it's possible to roll like Gemini, I don't know, GPT-4 back? Do you think it's just possible to kind of say, oh, this was all wrong, we cancel this off, we put this under some umbrella? I don't think it's possible, because then there will be companies incorporated in like, I don't know, in some offshore countries. There will be companies coming from Asia with less regulation. So I just think it's impossible to roll this progress back. What do you think?
Well, I don't think that you can roll it back, but you can substantially decrease the speed, the pace, right? And I think that you're right that this threat of somebody will leapfrog really makes regulators be less aggressive. Because if you ban AI development in the US, that was proposed by a bunch of individuals, including Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, and many others. Mark Zuckerberg and many others. You remember this famous letter, right, to the president of the United States that urged government to act on pausing all the development and revising it. Obviously, if you do it in the US only, when China will leapfrog in half a year, right? And that's probably the only threat people now have, regulators have.
Yeah.
But definitely they can make things more challenging. And I believe that things are really challenging in so many industries. Look into blockchain. Blockchain could have adopted much faster, and this decentralization could have happened much faster if regulators were more supportive. But regulators were so much afraid of losing control over monetary activity of the country, monetary functions of the countries, that they banned so many activities, including Meta with its Libra, Telegram with its Stone, and a bunch of other activities around it. So I can also give an example in bioengineering, where there are a lot of, obstacles and rituals. I would even call them rituals that forbid, for example, DNA sequencing and experimenting with DNA research and engineering that may gone much faster if there was no regulatory boundaries, right? So you can put a lot of boundaries into Gen AI, maybe not to stop or roll it back, but make it harder and harder to develop. And I frankly believe that this is, this technology, certainly at some point, and I could not predict when, will beat human on every single aspect of life, thought, and including, by the way, moral, including morale, including any kind of intelligence you may think, and it will better regulate us than we regulate this superhuman abilities, right? So I do believe that you have to let it go, and it will somehow discover its way to live in like symbiosis with the humankind, rather than just killing us all because it will just execute its power over us. So I don't believe in this scenario, frankly. If you think of like aliens visiting us through the galaxies, they wouldn't find anything important in our Earth, right? They wouldn't find anywhere in the universe, right? In excessive quantities. So I think that we are not going to be a challenge for the superhuman AI at some point, and it will try to make us better rather than just killing us. That's my way of thinking. So I would much more afraid of these AI tools being in hands of human beings rather than being fully independent of human beings and acts on its own morale and on its own kind of human values, if you will.
Yeah, look, I mean, the way how I think about that is like over the last 30 years, all the human knowledge was put in computer, basically, was put on internet pretty much. And sort of by that time, so first there was all this knowledge was put, then many people over the last years faced complexity of navigating this information, right? I think navigating the information became a huge challenge for humans, and AI will obviously simplify and change how people access the information, and AI can navigate the information, synthesize information much better than humans. I think that's a very natural step of let's say this data industry evolution in a sense, right? Like we didn't come to meaningful level of automation just yet. I mean, in my opinion, I have seen people doing like a lot of like not really productive work on computer. And overall, like our workflows with computers are, I would say, quite suboptimal. I'm not sure like computers increase the information transmission bandwidth. In a sense, like people still prefer talking to exchange information rather than type. Again, I feel like at this point, humans ported all the information to internet. Obviously now machines, more powerful algorithms, they try to systemize this information better. And there will be new interfaces created to exchange information and digest information more efficiently. It may change the way how we use, maybe it's going to be new type of hardware, new laptops, new phones. But I think this is extremely natural. I think we are like moving from tractors to like manufacturing kind of stuff. Like, I don't know how to say this, but I mean, what I'm trying to say is like a lot of like 100 years ago in agriculture, a lot of human involvement was needed. And over the time, more and more stuff is done with robots, and there are more computer vision systems to monitor the quality of agriculture process and so on. So there is a meaningful level of automation on agriculture front, in farming, in my opinion. And the same is going to happen with digital information. Basically, now people spend so much their time and their energy on just understanding and managing the information, and AI is going to change that.
Totally agree. And we will be witnessing all this, and you are participating in this, and me too, right? By investing in you, by doing things. Alex, maybe last few questions on your personal values. What motivates you? What brings you like every day back to work?
Thank you. I mean, I'm working on video game sphere for over than 7 years, and this is like when I learned about the concept of world model and saw a few research papers, I realized that there is a lot of, that we can go beyond just entertainment or like small use case, and this can really increase people's productivity.
Okay, so you want people to do more, and then what? Have more time to do nothing, or to have more time to do even more? I mean,
Look, I think
so what would this productivity bring? More spare time to do something else?
It's hard for me to say, but I think there are overall, there are, I think, a lot of professions which lack, where there is lack of people simply. I just think there are, maybe we don't need that many people working with computers, right? Basically, everyone else has to participate in this information exchange, like one person creating like reports, then creating spreadsheets, then creating reports on top of spreadsheet. And like, there is a lot of like data management workflows manually managed by people. And I think there are lots of other problems in the world which people can be solving, really.
Totally agree. What inspires you? Anything, any heroes, any role models?
Yeah, definitely. I think there are several prizes in North America dedicated to kind of make science more cool. I think this is very important. It's like, cause like if you look at most people at most successful scientists nowadays, they were doing like science with neural networks for over than 10 years. And just 10 years ago, it wasn't cool. It wasn't cool enough, right? And immediately those people became rock stars. I think there are a lot of other areas of knowledge which are not cool, but which are maybe more promising and more impactful than actually training transformer models, which are simply overlooked by society. So having like people to cultivate innovation and essentially embrace scientific breakthroughs in the most important areas for humanity, I think that's so cool. Unfortunately, I don't have like a really broad like scientific knowledge to speak about specific breakthroughs over the last years. But people who are embracing science and making it cool. I mean, Yuri Milner comes to mind definitely, but there are a few other people doing that.
Agree. Okay, so Alex, thanks a lot. I think that I personally learned a lot from this conversation, and even a few terms which I coined. I will definitely use that, and some of really nice examples you gave. And this was Alex Mashrabov at podcast Ventures from the Valley. I'm Victor Orlovski. Please listen us and continue to support us. Thank you so much, Alex. It was so much value, and thanks a lot. Have
Victor,
fun and great fundraise for your Higgsfield business, which I'm proud to be a angel investor.
Thank you for your support. Thank you. And thank you for having me on your podcast.
Thank you very much. Ventures from the Valley is brought to you by R136 Ventures. To find out more about R136 Ventures and how we scale mid to late stage startups by unlocking their true potential through investment, visit r136.vc. We will be back soon. In the meantime, make sure to click subscribe so you don't miss any further episodes. On behalf of our team here at R136 Ventures, thanks for listening.